Hey, what's up, guys? This is Reed with Rapid Response Training, and I'm here with Mike of Bulletin and 0 Point Training fame and glory. What's
Oh,
up?
fame and glory.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought I was just getting one, but I guess I'll go for both.
I mean, I've even heard the word prestige thrown around.
Oof. Like the Magician movie.
Like Prestige Worldwide?
Oh, is that Parks and Rec reference?
No, man, that's
No.
Step Brothers, dude.
Oh, Step Brothers. Yes, Prestige World. I was thinking of Entertainment 720
Okay. Yeah.
Prestige Worldwide.
That's right.
The Catalina wine mixer, man.
I'm on a boat. Yeah. Anyway, we can't not do movie references apparently when we get on camera. So,
Well, who the hell wants to have conversations without movie references? That's just weird.
Young people
can't afford going to the movies, I guess.
Well, they stopped making good movies, so they didn't have that same experience.
It's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think the movie industry's dead. Like, I haven't.
Oh yeah.
Like, do you remember when there used to be like summers of like 8 blockbuster movies that like you're like, holy shit, I don't know if I'll be able to make it to all of them.
Yeah. The last movie I saw in theater was the new Deadpool, and
that was so good.
Oh, I disagree. I didn't like it.
What? You didn't like Deadpool Wolverine?
No, they marveled it, bro.
Well, yeah, but half the fun is the joke of it being marveled. Like Ryan Reynolds, like thumbing his nose at the camera.
It was gross. I didn't like it.
Oh, wow, man. We're about to have a whole nother podcast.
Listen, I love 1 and 2, man. I love 1 and 2.
Yes.
3 didn't do it for me, but I'm not a Marvel guy. I'm not an X-Men guy. So like all of that it's just they nerded up my killing movie.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean that first Deadpool movie was just fucking genius.
Oh, dude, it's so good. It hits every time.
Yeah.
But that in Top Gun.
Well, the new one, Top Gun. I hate the name of it, Top Gun Maverick, but it was a pretty good movie. It's kind of ridiculous. Some of it's ridiculous, but the whole franchise.
Of course, it's ridiculous. Of course, it's ridiculous.
They built a missile silo in a volcano. It's like,
yeah, some Dr. Evil shit, dude.
They did the Dr. Evil shit. They're like, we're gonna have a trench run, a la Star Wars style. Like, we're going to go through the canyon, then we're going to come up and down into the volcano, hit the perfect shot, hit the Womp Rat in my T-72, and then bail out of there. It was awesome, but it was so silly.
Oh, yeah, of course. But, I mean, they all are.
Yeah. Well, that's what, I mean, it's a movie, right? Like, if they did documentaries all the time, people would just be bored.
Now, arguably, this was the only heterosexual Top Gun.
Whoa. I mean,
there was some chicks in the beach scene. Like, come on, man.
I mean, that just ruins it. Like, because
yeah, of course, for you it does.
Because I want a Top Gun movie where the males can just be bros, shirtless, sweaty.
Yeah.
On the beach with each other.
I bet you do.
Women just ruin it.
Yeah. Yep. All right.
Kind
of sus.
Yeah, I loved how they brought in I guess you couldn't call it like the homoerotic sports scene. They were like, yeah, let's be equal opportunity and throw in like some women playing football on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. But all I know is that ever since I saw the original Top Gun, I will only play volleyball wearing jeans, aviator sunglasses, and no shirt. That's how all volleyball should be played. That's my hill to die on.
How long does it take you to get removed?
Well, I can't say I've ever made it through a whole game.
Okay. Well, we've all got those hills we gotta die on.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Well, let's wrap it back in, man.
Okay.
We're gonna talk today about the fighting radio. So
Yes.
You put out an article on bulletin.net.
Yes, the blog.
Yes, the blog portion of it, because bulletin.net is many things now.
It is.
Why don't you tell us like a few of those things, like this
All
stuff?
right. Well, in a nutshell, it is a website, a company devoted to promoting training all across the country in multiple different categories, mainly focusing in firearms training, self-defense training, outdoor training, and all the things that kind of revolve around that. So bulletin.net is it's an event listing platform. It's free for any trainer to use. Any trainer can come there, sign up on Bulletin, list all their classes, and attract students. And any student can go there and also browse everything on there for free. It's a completely free service. I make no money off of it. It's my passion project that maybe someday I will be able to offer some premium features. But for now, it has been just something that I wanted to create because somebody needed to do it. So that's the core offering of Bulletin. And then this year I launched 2 additional sections of bulletin.net. There is the Bulletin Points blog, which we have been posting some AARs on there from even one of the men on this podcast.
Even somebody like me.
Even somebody like Reed. I believe you posted up your AAR of Prelectus Training's FAFO class last year, right?
Good. Yes.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I know you did the Orion training group.
Oh yeah, no, it was your Orion training group. I may not have posted the. I got to get on posting some of those because, like, you sent me like a dozen, and I was like, yo, this is awesome. We'll just keep putting these out as we edit them and kind of put some photos in there and stuff. So I've recruited like 3 or 4 people that are really good students, like people who love training and are really good at articulating what they've learned. So I've been trying to like cultivate a core group of guys that can contribute and offer some really good after action reports, as well as throwing in there things like gear reviews or my experience at SHOT Show. So just like it's the blog, it's a place to collect articles, but everything related to training. And then there is also a bulletin shop, which that also opened up this year to get things that students might need out like at a good price to support them and trainers in the industry. So just trying to offer all different aspects, thought leadership, information, just all the resources that students and trainers might need out there.
Sweet. So you sell some stuff, you do some event posting stuff for classes, do some writing stuff.
Yep.
And then you also do some training stuff, some 0-point training stuff.
Yes. So completely not separate entirely from Bulletin, because my passion for teaching is what inspired Bulletin to start. I also teach. I've been teaching for the last 5 or 6 years with Retevis Dynamics in Pennsylvania. And then this year I launched my own training company, 0-Point Training, with a specialization on first-time students. Like I felt like that was a huge gap in the market. A lot of trainers out there really prefer to work with advanced students, which I have no problem with because I love finding teachers out there that will, help me push. And not to say, I mean, it's weird to consider myself an advanced student, but I guess that's where I'm at. And there are certain topics that I've got a pretty good handle on, but I want somebody to help push me, that a little bit more to kind of grow in different aspects. But I think the future of training is always in bringing in new people and new students and showing them and giving them a really worthwhile experience, a positive experience in the training world. So that's my passion. I love teaching. I grew into teaching from being a student. I was training all the time. This is why one of the reasons I assume you and I are such close friends, because we have a very similar track there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fell in love with training, and man, if I can find a way to make that my whole life, of course, in balance with my family and any other passions, but I would love to do what I can for the training community, everything that I can, like, because it's good stuff.
And as part of your point, you teach some radio stuff, correct?
I do, yes. So I have a class called Radio 1 with some plans, some half curriculums at the moment. Just haven't put things on the schedule or kind of like fully blocked out the curriculum. But I do have plans for a Radio 2. And now, after doing some more outdoorsy team-related stuff, I do have a theme and some topics in mind for a Radio 3 class. So, some progressive type things. I hesitate to put too many things on my docket of like, oh, Radio 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like, because really my mission is to get people into training. And then I know this is a terrible business model, but I want to push them out to other trainers. Like, I want to bring in guys that learn radio, like, and introduce them to the concept of it, and then push them out to guys like Evan at Radio Made Easy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to bring people in that learn pistol, and then push them out to Tremis Dynamics or Tactical Response. And like these people that I've trained with, and I love everything that they do and they teach. What I want to do is just be able to be that kind of person that helps bring new people in and then send them on their way. With the exception of, like, sometimes there's just more advanced concepts that I may want to teach. And, of course I want to develop students that want to keep learning too. So it's a fine balance, right? Like, how do I bring people in? How do I support the community? But also, there's things that I want to teach people. So I'm working that out.
I think I was in your inaugural radio class.
I believe you were. I think it was like 2022.
Ooh, was it that late?
No, maybe 2020. I can't remember.
It might have been 21.
2021. That sounds about right. It's been like 4 years or so, 4.5 years since I started teaching. That was my first lead instructor role in a class. And was that the one that we ran long and we didn't get to do the practical exercise?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. That was learning to be an instructor, learning to put curriculum together. I'm sure you've felt this too, is like figuring out how to fit it all in is sometimes difficult. But that class, what's that?
Seems to be, yeah.
That was the only time I've had that. I've run into that class. That was a big learning experience for me. And then I've held that particular class, which used to, it's had a few names. It had a few names under Tremis Dynamics. Then I took it at, like, that's my curriculum. So I brought it over to 0 Point. And I think I've offered it like 7 or 8 times now. So it runs pretty well. Like, I've got the time hacks down on it.
Yeah. It was great. I learned a lot, for sure.
Yeah.
So you put out an article on the fighting radio. So you got this from James Yeager of Tactical Response, the idea of the fighting X or the fighting Y, right? So James, essentially, I'm going to give the paraphrase version.
Yes. Yep.
Much eloquently in your article, but he said the Glock 19 is a fighting pistol.
Correct.
And if you're to classify as a fighting pistol, it must be reliable and durable enough to trust your life on, accurate enough to trust your life on.
Mm-hmm.
It must not have a bunch of extra nonsense like safeties and decock. I know you're a SIG guy. You love decock.
Well, I'm a 365 guy, so
Hey.
it has no decock on it. It's just it's a
So
Glock 19. It's a tiny thin Glock.
Trans sig.
Yeah. Post-op sig, like it's got the things cut off.
Yeah. So anyway, he said none of that, and he said it needs to hold 8 rounds or more, magazine fed, stuff like that. Basically, he said a Glock.
Striker fired. Yep.
He said Glock 19. Although he later, when like the Shield was released, he said like this is like the smallest fighting pistol.
Exactly.
And like, you know, in some sort of a duty context, a Glock 17 or a Glock 34 or something of that nature,
right,
would be acceptable as well as a fighting pistol. So anyhow, that being said, so that was the fighting pistol that James defined.
yes.
And then you have recently defined the fighting radio. So tell me, what is a fighting radio?
Well, yeah. So basically, in my mind, it was the radio that meets the minimum spec of what I need. Jaeger, like, he was a huge influence on me. I know, like, everyone in our circles owes a lot to that guy. So this was kind of like an homage to kind of the mindset, right? Like, okay, yes, you can talk about gear, but it should all kind of come back around to mindset. And the mindset being, you need to evaluate your shit. You need to have a minimum standard for it. And like anything else doesn't qualify. Like you have to have that thing. And it doesn't have to be a particular gun. I remember one of James's sayings is, or I think he would quote Musashi. It's like, I don't need my sword. I need a sword.
Yeah. He said, I don't need, Musashi had a favorite weapon, the katana.
Right.
Well, I have a favorite weapon, the Glock 19, but I don't need my Glock 19.
I just need a Glock 19. Yeah. So that always stuck with me in the terms of like, okay, well, you know, what should I be looking at to create or to set the thing that counts as a fighting piece of gear? So like, and that you know, I first got introduced to it with the pistol. Obviously, like, you know, the rifle as well, which has a little bit more of a nebulous like definition of what a fighting rifle is, because there's different purposes to rifles, but ultimately comes down to reliability, right? Like that, at the end of the day, that is like, it's the combination of capability and reliability. Mm-hmm. And that's why it was the Glock 19. The Glocks are the epitome, the gold standard, if you will, in terms of reliability. So I, over the years in working, you know, in teaching classes, in doing a lot of field exercises, like, I'm not a military guy. I'm not out in the field for months at a time. I'm a civilian. I've come to training through civilian mindsets and situations. So, you know, I wanted to come up with a radio or a recommended radio that works for my use set, which could involve fighting with it and being outdoors with it. So it took a while to kind of, and it's evolving. It always evolves, but to kind of settle on something that is both incredibly reliable for whatever situation that I might come across and capable of doing what I needed to do. Those are the two things that needed to, like, that is the baseline. And there's some requirements that got like pulled from that, but you have to start with like, will it talk to the people I want to talk to, and will it work when I need it to? Like, that's kind of the basis. Mm-hmm. So that was the starting point for the fighting radio, and then like that's been my goal for, I don't know, the last 6 years, is trying to find the right thing. And this article has been in my head, like, or this list, I should say. The article was just more of a recent inspiration, but the list has been like essentially building over the last 5 years. And the radios have changed. The peripherals have changed. But at a certain point, I was like, you know what? It's not about the particular thing, even though I have a pretty good recommendation for anybody that's looking for a fighting radio right now. It's about the process.
Mhm.
Like, just like, Jaeger's process was, hey, it needs to meet these minimum requirements. It needs to be a striker fired. It needs to be this. And then everything that fell into that category, he referred to as a Glock 19. Oh, this is just a Glock 19 made by Smith & Wesson that has MMP written on the side, but it's a Glock 19, right? It's not as simple on the radio side because there's just so much more technology. There's so many more manufacturers. It's a whole spectrum of nerddom that you have to sift through.
Well, talking about essentially small computers.
Yep.
Especially on the digital side versus a machine, all mechanical, like springs and cogs and shit.
Yep.
So of course it's going to be way more complicated.
Yeah. And because then you're starting to get into the different technologies around radios as well, which have been around for, I mean, honestly, when you think about it, almost as long as like semi-automatic firearms, radios have been around. But like, there was a big difference between the old style analog radios. You're using tubes and diodes to create different radio frequency wavelengths and transmission properties and all this other shit, and frequency adjusters, oscillators, things that I don't even comprehend radio theory. I just know how to use. Like, I'm an operator at heart, and not operator like, oh, I operate like with the operation. More like I just I try to build everything around the end user of the radio, the operator of a radio, instead of like an engineer who just loves to like dive into like, well, this runs with spectral purity and has limited emissions in the wavelengths of. I don't care. I just like, does it work? Can I push the buttons? Can I tell somebody how to push the buttons, make it work? But yeah, I know I'm getting off track, but like that that goal drove some requirements, and the requirements were pretty much built around reliability of the radio. So the reliability stuff was very much centered around water ingress and simplicity. So there's not a ton of like waterproof radios out there on the market. There are some, and there's a difference between waterproof and submergible.
Mm-hmm.
And submergible is what my standard is for a radio that is going to go on kit, like going to be strapped to me, because as much as I want to avoid it, I'm not some wannabe fucking Navy SEAL that wants to go like diving with a radio and then come up out of the water with the boonie hat and dripping off the face. And, I mean, maybe I kind of want to do that someday, but like, I don't
take anyway.
Yeah. I don't plan to do that, but I do plan to travel to different places in Pennsylvania. Sometimes I plan to travel on foot. You know what there's a lot of in Pennsylvania? Rivers, water crossings, lakes. It's not out of the realm of possibility for me that I may have to get on a boat or a raft or cross a bridge that has been broken, or oh, I need to cross over this stream. Okay, well, I'm going to hop onto this log and shimmy over this log. Oh, I fell off the log. Now I'm wet. Right? Like, it's not that hard of a stretch to think about, oh, I might become submerged in water, or I may need to lay down in this puddle. Like, the puddle may not be that deep, but I may need to get into it to avoid like shit shooting at me. Or, I may have chosen a shitty spot to sleep for the night, and all of a sudden the area that my gear is taken up has now filled with water. So it's a hard requirement for me that the radio has to be submergible. And then anything connecting to the radio also needs to be able to survive water, being immersed in water. So those were the big things, like from a reliability standpoint. The connector on the side. So this is an HD2 radio, and on the side it has a Motorola M3 connector, as opposed to a Baofeng radio. Like, this is the ubiquitous UV5R. On the side it has what's called a Kenwood 2-pin plug, and that is just two holes stuck into the side of the radio. Yep, you have it right there. That's the Kenwood 2-pin plug. It is just it's a 3.5 millimeter jack and a 2.5 millimeter jack jammed next to each other, and then you shove it into the side of a radio. For 99% of people, 99% of the time, that's going to be probably fine because they're not jumping into water or standing out in wind-driven rain.
60% of the time, it works.
Every time. But I've seen those fail, and I've talked to people who have seen a lot more of them fail firsthand. So, if you hang around like the tactile response circles, we had a conversation on my channel a couple weeks ago about the high risk civilian classes they had. So I've seen radios get shit the bed because they've gotten wet. So water's a big thing. And you can't use a Kenwood 2-pin connector, anything with just like pins that slide in that don't have some sort of rubber gasket that cinches down, that locks the thing in place, is a no-go. So it started narrowing the choices of radio a lot. It also had to, and then there was some capability stuff that was really important to me. So like radios, there's like a million different bands and abilities for radios to talk on different bands out there. So the 2 meter 70 centimeter band is like the kind of gold standard of a dual band radio. That's what a Baofeng UV5R is. It's a dual band radio that talks on both of those. So many people use them that's become the de facto standard for how people communicate line of sight with handheld radios. And it's just super popular. Some radios out there can only talk on one of them. I need one that talks on both because some places talk on VHF channels. Some places talk on UHF channels.
I've got an example for you there.
Yeah.
So I have a friend who has some quality E.F. Johnson radios.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all encrypted and stuff. I don't know what that whole process is, but they have some sort of a group. They all have these radios, and they're all encrypted. They can talk to one another.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Awesome. But they're single band.
Yep.
So they're either, I don't know what they are, if they're 2 meter or 70 centimeter, but like this radio can talk on two separate groups of frequencies.
Yep. Two separate bandwidth or two separate bands of frequency groups. Yeah.
Yes. Whereas this one can only talk on one.
Yep.
So he shows up at class. He has some fancy kit. He's got some push-to-talks and some OpsCore amps and these E.F. Johnson radios, and we're talking on the other band.
Yeah.
So he's got all this fancy gear that works really, really, really well, but because his stuff can't talk to everybody's, he's stuck using the lowest common denominator radio.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's you can't do it.
Yeah.
Like you could, like, it's awesome to have a radio that can do cool stuff. Yeah. I have I've moved to radios that are digital, that can do encryption, that can do text messaging if you want them to. I don't do any of that stuff. It's just far too complicated, but they can if you want to, put that into your use set. But at its core, it needs to be able to be a dual band analog radio because there's far too many people out there for me to just cut them all out and say, I don't need to talk to them.
Yep.
Or what some people do is they're like, oh, I got my cool whiz bang radio. And that's only for the go time. That's the go time whiz bang radio. Every other time I'll just wear my Baofeng UV5R. And because they don't want to spend money on a second awesome radio. One is enough. Getting someone to spend money on one awesome radio is already hard. They'll never buy a second one. So they have a shit radio for their backup that they wind up using 98% of the time. Because that's what they go do. If they're going training, they're bringing their shit radio with their shitty plug connector, and then most of the time they're running it off of an airsoft push-to-talk that they got on Amazon. And as soon as
not me.
What's
not
that?
Me. Not me.
Not me.
all my go time stuff I'm using every time.
Yeah.
Like I've got some cry pants. Like I own cry pants.
I'm wearing them every day. That's my
Bro,
pajama set.
listen, why do I even have these things if I'm not going to wear them? Because I'm not wearing them around town.
No.
So if I'm going to class, I'm wearing them.
Yeah.
If I'm going backpacking, I'm wearing them. Like I'm not saving them. Like
No.
why do I even have it if I'm never going to wear it? It's the same thing for like guns and radios. Like this stuff's expensive, and 90% of the time it sits in a bag or in the safe.
Yep.
So like, get it out every single time you have the excuse.
Yeah. Well, not just that, but like, how absurd is it if you had like, because we'll bring it back around to the Jaeger approach, right? Like, my radio is a fighting radio. When I train with my fighting radio. It would be absolutely ridiculous if I only went to training with like some H&K super expensive pistol, limit, or like what's a stupid expensive but kind of fighting-ish radio or pistol, like a
Staccato.
Yeah, staccato. Although that's not really a fighting, gun in my opinion. But
Not but
yeah,
the internet.
The internet, yeah. Like, oh, I'm going to carry a staccato every day, but I'm only going to train with a Glock 19. Why?
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, and I know to us that sounds ridiculous, but there is a million dudes out there that are going, well, that's exactly what I do. Like every, like, why would I use up my staccato?
Use it.
Use it, put the wear and tear on it. I'll put the wear and tear on the beater car. The Toyota Corolla, I'll take that one to the around town, but then save the Corvette for whatever. No, it's like you have to train with what you fight with, because that's the testing to make sure it works and that you know how to use it, because the buttonology might be different, the switches are different, the user interface is different, the capabilities might be different, there's so much shit. Like, you have to use the fighting thing as part of your training.
So I actually have an example for you.
Yeah.
So there's a video, and maybe I'll roll it in like right here. I'll make a big hand motion so it's easy for me to see when I review this. I'll even write down a timestamp. Look at that.
Wow. 3244.
Bro, 32. I'm writing on my hand because I'm a G like that.
Oh, yeah.
30. Yeah. All right. So maybe I'll even roll it in, the example. But there's a video of me.
You should have a little notebook that in your pocket that maybe even has the bulletin logo on it.
Hey, you got my address.
I'll send you some notebooks.
Or I'll just pick one up in August. God willing, able to get up there. But
yeah. For the muster.
Yeah, I just gotta do some confirmation. But anyway, maybe I'll roll it in right here. But there's a video of me in SUT keying up to talk to a command element, and when you key up, you hear a Roger beep.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mike, this video get posted, and he texts me. This is like the morning of day 2. Hey, bro, you're out there killing it. Awesome job. Just so you know, if you want to turn that beep off on your radio, here's how to do it. Because for SUT, I was using my go time stuff. Like I said, it was a Yeasu VX6. Well, a couple of them. And
it's a great radio. I love this radio.
Yeah, it's great. And I had mistakenly failed to lock the radio at one point, half pressed a button that caused the Roger beep to come on.
Well, the button on the VX6R is the Roger beep button. Like the lock button. They're the same button. So if you don't hold it down long enough to lock it, it turns on. And it's not even a Roger beep. It's actually a transmit tone for some sort of like intranet link thing on the that Yeasu uses is kind of like a digital mode thing.
Oh, that's why it's the nuke button.
Yeah, it's supposed to represent internet. It's that bottom left button. Yep, the one that I call it the atomic symbol.
Yeah, it's the nuke button.
Yeah.
Press
So that tone is like it's I guess it could be a Roger tone. It's like it's an acknowledgement tone so that the two radios can hear each other.
Yeah.
But it's annoying because it's not that you hear it, everyone else hears it.
Everybody else,
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a great example of where I had not trained with my Yeasus. I've taken 2 radio classes. I took yours a million years ago, and that was before I owned Yeasus.
Mm-hmm.
And then I took Radio Made Easy.
Yep.
Which it's built around. Hey, look at that, Radio Made Easy.
I'm a big fan of Evan and what he does.
Yeah, 0 to Hero radio
operator. Yep.
Called great class. The curriculum is built around the Baofeng UV5R.
Yep.
For about 5 minutes, I tried to do the thing on the Baofeng and then also do it on the Yeasu, and immediately I was like, I can't keep up if I'm trying to do that. So I did everything on the Baofeng.
Yep.
So, anyway,
the switchology, the usability is completely different. So anybody who tries to use a Baofeng in one instance is going to forget unless they're using their. And I'll even say that any radio is going to be completely different than another. The core concept is the same. So when I teach, that's how I try to break everything down to, again, a tactical response. I'm very inspired by their curriculum. Hey, do the thing, put the thing in the thing, do the thing.
Yep.
So what's that equivalent on a radio? Okay, put it into VFO mode, manual mode, and push in the frequency and lock it.
Yep.
The default answer is every radio will likely do that. You just need to know the buttons that'll get you there.
Yes.
And then there's a whole bunch of other shit that you need to know how to turn on and off too. But how do you break it down to its most basics?
So I actually have a video coming out on radio. And it'll be out before this one.
Sweet.
That's going to come out Tuesday, and this will come out Friday.
Nice.
And in it, basically, I say, if you can do anything, this is what you need to know. You don't need to know really anything else. You need to know VFO.
Yep.
You need to know, put your channel in.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep.
And if you can do that, you can work this radio.
Yes.
You might not be able to do the cool functions. You might not be able to do it real efficiently or well, but you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I would add on a couple of things to that, because there's some diagnostic stuff that you may have to do with certain radios.
Sure.
Mainly we're getting off topic here, but the shift function and tones, receive tones, because a lot of times people will have those get turned on and then their radio won't work anymore, and they're like, why can't I talk on the right frequency? And they just have to know to look for the little plus or minus symbol to know if their radio is shifting for duplex mode, when you're using a repeater, or transmit tones, not a big deal, but receive tones, if they turn on a receive tone so that they can only hear transmissions that have a certain subaudible tone, all of a sudden their radio will not listen to anything because they're like, why can't my radio receive? So I would say the VFO thing is the most important. Lock is very important, and then the other knowing how to look for the radio, whether or not it is shifting frequencies or has a tone on it. Those are that's the core concept. If you can master those things, you can pretty much run any radio, any analog radio.
Yeah. I love it. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I have you on. So you.
Well, yeah, it's funny. Sometimes
there.
I feel I have that imposter syndrome type thing where I'm man, I don't know why people listen to me when it comes to like radio stuff. But then sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, it's because I've been talking for 30 minutes about radios and most people don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just because like just 7 or 8 years ago, I saw like a need, like running with people, taking classes. I was like, I don't know how to run one of these radios. And then I dug into it a little bit, dug into it a little bit more, and then learned a little bit more. And then, hey, what if I learn this thing? And all of a sudden I was the guy that was people were looking to be like, hey, can you make my radio work? Can you do the thing to get it to talk to each other? It's like, yeah, it's this, you start hitting buttons. You're like, hey, you know what? Maybe I kind of learned something here. And then you start going, maybe I should teach it. And it just grew from there. But yeah, so like the usage, and that I know that's kind of the theme that we were talking about here in terms of the like, hey, it needs to be dual band. Like you have to use it. You have to get out there and mess with it, break it, and do the thing with it so that you can actually intimately know it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why it had to be dual band.
Yep. So waterproof and submersible. You say waterproof and submersible.
Yeah.
Dual band, not single band, dual band.
Waterproof connector.
Yep. Oh, waterproof connector. Yep.
Which is part of the waterproofing thing, but it's sometimes like you can have a waterproof radio and that doesn't have a waterproof connector, which is absolutely silly.
Yes.
So those like those are all part of the requirements. And then there's two more. The big one is it needs to work with a reliable push to talk, which for me is a very easy answer because there's only one company I trust for push to talks. Like I've spent far too much money and time and anguish and pain in trying to get push to talks to work. And once I found Disco32, I'm like, they all work every time. As long as I order the right one,
get the right one.
Yeah.
So push to talk is something like this.
Yep. It's the thing that lives in between your radio and your headset.
Yep. It's a button that turns out you push it and then you talk.
Yeah. You have to push it to talk with it.
Yep. And this goes in your radio and then your headset comes in this way. So
yeah. And
that's an example of a push to talk. Another example is the old super secret agent earpiece.
Yeah, and that has like every radio has a push to talk. Yep. Like that button on the side is called the push to talk.
Yes, unless you rip it off. But
yeah, but like that thing you just showed was an example of like an earwig headset where it plugs directly into the radio instead of going into a separate push to talk device. And I find that most of the time, if people are having a problem with their radios, like if I just can't get my stuff to work, it's because they either bought a shit airsoft push to talk that somebody modded over some rando dude in a garage said, oh, I'll just take this old U97 military push to talk and solder some things together. And oh yeah, here it is. It works, but it doesn't because they're all made for military radios and civilian radios have different connectors. So when Disco32 started putting out their push to talks, I was like, this works. Like I've at this point I have bought easily over 100 push to talks, like for people through other recommended to students. Like I'm relatively sure I'm close to like 100 units that I have either recommended or bought this year I've probably sold 20 of them. So they make great stuff and they're consistent and it has to work with a Disco32 push to talk. And they don't have every connector in the world. Like they don't have like some of the obscure stuff, but they have most of it. So it has to work with one of those. And lastly, it's kind of a soft requirement because it's not a mandatory for a fighting radio. For my personal use, I wanted this ability to have enhanced communication security in having a digital radio that can be encrypted.
Yep. So digital is already a little enhanced because it's pretty rare. Not everybody has it.
Not everyone. Yep.
And there's also, correct me if I'm wrong, there's like exponentially more space in the digital side of things than in the analog, because you've got more channels to choose from. And
I wouldn't say that's necessarily true. It still has the same, it's still limited by the same like concepts of frequencies and bandwidth. So you can't have two, like for instance, two radios can't talk too close to each other on similar frequencies. They still have to be stepped apart so that their bandwidth isn't overlapping each other,
even when it's digital.
even when it's digital.
Interesting.
But there are certain things that you can do with digital that you can't do with other stuff. So like time codes isn't a really interesting thing with digital, especially DMR, because you have two time slots that you can talk in. So this is a heady concept. This is going down the nerd hole here, but the voice, the sound that we hear, when it gets translated into digital code, it doesn't actually take as long to transmit that digital code as it does for us to hear it. So you can actually have two conversations happening on the same frequency at the same time, because the radio will listen for, like, say it's a full second, and then it'll compress the data down into a half-second transmission. So it's only transmitting every half second, right? And then there's a half-second gap, and it's a half second and a half-second gap. Well, these radios can then take, if you're transmitting on the opposite time slot, you can then fill in the gaps with a different conversation. So like that's some crazy stuff that you can do, which is kind of cool. So it
like
basically doubles. What's that?
It's Inception. It's basically time travel.
Yeah, it's time travel. Like you're going back in time with radios.
So I have a nuke button and you have a flux capacitor button.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, somewhere in there's 1.21 gigawatts just ready to go. I have a 1.21 gigawatt radio.
Yes. Okay, so what you just said, though, is another aspect of security.
Yes.
Which is if somebody's trying to eavesdrop, we'll say.
Yep.
It is digital would be advantageous because it sends burst information. Is that correct?
It does.
So it is mitigating slightly.
Yeah. So like, for instance, if every Joe Schmo out there with a Baofeng can hear any other Joe Schmo with a Baofeng, which is the case, right? Like analog radio is just completely out there. There's no way that somebody couldn't hear it if they had a radio that could receive it. Like we'll call that like 100% of the population can hear that transmission. All of a sudden, if you go to digital, well, that digital radio can hear all the analog stuff, but then it's transmitting on digital, and any analog radio can't hear a digital, an analog only radio can't hear a digital transmission. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, you're taking that that population that can hear and cutting it down to, I mean, in reality, maybe at most a third, probably less than that, of radio users out there using digital radios.
Yes.
The vast majority is just using analog radios. So that there cuts down the common person that can hear you. Now, is that secure enough? Like it's so easy to hear digital transmissions. Yeah. Like it's an open codec. So like as long as you have a SDR, like a software defined radio that can hook into a computer or a scanner or another digital radio, you can hear any digital transmission as long as it's on the same codec. Like a DMR radio can hear a DMR radio, a P25 radio can hear a P25 radio. So it's not a level of security, it's more of a level of exclusivity. Sure. If that makes any sense.
It's the Apple not having viruses.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. That's a really great analogy.
Yeah.
So that adds a level of some exclusivity.
And then you've got encryption, which obviously.
And then
kind of for itself.
A digital transmission can then be encrypted, which is just scrambling the ones and zeros by a mathematical formula, right? And that then locks out, theoretically, anybody from listening to your transmission. They'll just hear gobbledygook.
Yeah. Weird. And if it doesn't, then
Well,
You are
there's a lot
really
of speculation out there about what like state actors have the ability to do in real
Yeah.
time. I would say that all of that is probably not as likely as some people make it out to be. However, all of this has to be done under the context of like metadata as well.
Mhm.
So while it does exclude people from hearing your conversation if you're encrypting it, what it doesn't do is stop somebody from being able to identify you using an encrypted frequency at a certain location, at a certain time of day, around other certain radios that are all transmitting with different like they can analyze the patterns, because no matter what, you are always transmitting the signal in the first place.
Yes. Yep.
So it doesn't stop any of that. But what it does is it gives a level of security so that somebody with any old radio can't hear what you're talking about.
Yep.
So all you have to keep all the other ComSec stuff in mind. You know, people are out there, they're going to be trying to intercept your signals, SIGINT, signals intelligence. So you still have to use good standards and practices. You still have to use you have to use levels of what I call obfuscation, using call signs and keeping transmissions very short and trying to limit the amount of your RF signal that's going out into the air. But I find encryption to be a huge benefit to like, or a huge tool that can be employed if you need it to.
Yes.
So yeah, that was kind of my big thing over the last 2 years was really learning the encryption stuff and then figuring out how I can get a radio to work for me and my guys that
Mhm.
all run it. Because that's the other side of it too, is like, okay, an encrypted radio is awesome. Do you have people to talk to that have encrypted radios? Because if you don't, there's no point in it.
I was just having that conversation with a friend, and I'm like, because the digital radios are very cool. They can do a lot of cool stuff. But I'm like, and honestly, like, they're not that expensive. At least like your HD2 or there's a new Baofeng people like a lot.
Yeah, I forget what it is. Yeah.
It's a Motorola knockoff.
Yeah.
Um,
Still has a Kenwood 2-pin plug, by the way, which broke my heart. I was like, ooh, a Baofeng DMR with encryption ability, and of course it's got a Kenwood 2-pin plug on it.
I know. It's well, so the thing that is not making me immediately write it off is apparently it is extremely user friendly and easy to program.
I'm sure it is.
Which I'm like, man, I might need that.
I'll probably get one at some point to test it.
Yeah.
But man, if they could have just used, even if they had used their, because Baofeng has a proprietary waterproof connector. They used to use it on their, I used to use a Baofeng radio called a GT3WP, which is, it's a waterproof version of a UV5R. And it's great. It's a good waterproof. I think it was like $45 at the time. So it was like, oh, you spend a little extra money on a waterproof version of a radio. However, I never really adopted that wholesale, because like at the end of the day, okay, now I'm investing in a Baofeng radio with a proprietary connector, and I would rather just sink money into a Yeasu instead of a Baofeng.
Yeah.
Because Yeasus are more reliable in the long run.
Yeah. But I'm like, man, even if I like, okay, it's not that much, whatever. But what's the point? Because everybody closer than you to me has these.
Yeah.
Has Baofengs. So that's like the bros in my area, and that's like the closest person I would consider to be like inner circle, which unfortunately for me is about 200 miles away. But
and that's the hard part is not just figuring the thing out, but and it's kind of like what we talk about in the gun stuff too. Like the people who come and train, they're not the dude. Like when shit hits the fan, they're not going to be just the ones that are the door kickers. Those are going to be the ones that people look to as leaders.
Yep.
So like, what I'm really trying to do is get the knowledge out there about radios so that I can help people become the RTO of their organization, of their friend group, of their.
You're gonna dub me the RTO, and I'm gonna say BFO lock.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's not like, okay, there is a tech role to it, but part of it is just a teaching role.
Yeah.
Like what they need is somebody to remind them, like, hey, caveman, push the button, put in pouch, don't touch. Like that's what they need sometimes. But yeah, you have to, like, I've been very fortunate that I've recruited a bunch of people into a group of encrypted radios that we all run on and we all train together, which helps. I also what helps too, because sometimes a hurdle is people get a little weirded out about the encryption thing, because in the ham world you can't encrypt radio traffic. So there are ways around that if you own a business. So like Bulletin has a FCC license for a commercial or a business band radio, or a radio license. So I have frequencies at my disposal that can be used for training purposes and business purposes that allow for encryption. And it's not that hard to do. So like, it's just knowing how to do all those things and then like easing people's minds, getting them into it. And the hardest part is convincing them to spend money. Like on anything more than $35.
Oh, I would disagree with you there. I think the hardest thing to get people to do is spend their time.
That too.
I can talk people into buying a radio, or I can't talk them into training.
Well, that's yes. Yeah. Unfortunately, that is also a huge burden.
Yeah. They gotta want to, it's like an addict. Like they gotta want to get clean.
You gotta give them the taste first.
Yeah. Well, trying. So that's why I'm doing this thing on YouTube, man. Like trying to get people an idea of the world that we live in, because like it's a pretty cool world, and it's just there's people that would like to be in it, they just don't know that it exists.
Right.
So if you want to be in that world, come train with me or Mike, or just hit us up on
any of the stellar trainers on bulletin.net.
Yeah.
Most of them are our friends and people that we've trained with as well.
We'll talk to you, and Mike will be very nice. I'll bully you into training. But I'll go over real quick. Let's just talk again. Most people, they've got a Baofeng, so some cool stuff that makes it a little more useful. Not that it is a fighting radio. If you have a Baofeng for your fighting radio, great. You should probably train with it. But
because for some people, they might have a high point pistol, and that's their fighting pistol, and I can't argue with that. And
if they're like, I could have a high point pistol and a Baofeng, or I could have a Yeasu and a Glock 19, like I'll tell you which one to get.
Oh yeah.
So, but anyway, these fall apart real easy. Water is real bad for them, and just general use, especially the connectors, they break. So spares, like if this is going to be your thing, like having spares is probably a good idea. And
one is not, two is one. Yeah.
And turns out with radios in general, spares is great, because I can like give it to somebody and then I can talk to them.
Yeah. It's almost like that's what you may need to do that, because somebody may not come with their radio.
So if you're like, if you're the sunk cost fallacy guy and you're like, I have 69 Baofengs, like sick, dude, like buy yourself a Yeasu, and then you can you might be able to sell those radios for like gold coins. Or you could just give them to people. Like you give it to the guy at the end of the street, and he calls you up when the the hordes of cannibalistic San Franciscans are coming down the street, and then you have advanced warning. So nice little trade there.
Baofeng radios have a great use case. I have bags full of Baofengs, like a bucket of Baofengs.
Yep.
Because communications breaks down, and in static locations where there isn't a lot of water, it's a perfectly fine usable radio where you don't need any type of advanced encryption or like shit like that. So, hey, my neighborhood's, the power's gone out, or hey, we have an extended thing where we need to look out for each other. I'll just go drop off a Baofeng at every house on the block.
Yep.
It's a good way to basically arm a lot of people. It's like the dudes that bought crates of Mosin Nagants. Like, think of it more as the Mosin of radios than
they're buried in fields. And so there's that. The earpieces that come with them are trash. A lot of spare. They do work. They're disposable. So like have a lot of them, or have a better one. So this is one that Evan recommends. He said it's the only one he's found to work. It's called Commtac. MMOUNTAIN. So the downside really with Baofengs in general, anything to make them more usable costs as much or more
as the radio.
So you see really quickly, like, it's not worth investing in this thing. And some dudes just are like, all right, then I won't. But hopefully you do invest. So anyway, I say all that to say this. Here's my fighting radio setup, and I think you'll mostly approve.
Yep.
So I've got Yeasu VX6.
Yep.
I've got some whip antennas, some Zulu Bravo M2 Industries.
Yep.
Whip antennas, and then I've also got a stubby, which
like a BNC connector. Yep.
Got BNC connectors, which make this it's a quick detach for like quick detach for slings, right? This is a quick detach for your antennas, which it's a little too quick detach. Like they work so well that I can't stop myself from playing with it.
Yep.
But this is actually my primary antenna. Because like storing my kit, not having a big crazy antenna that can get damaged.
Yep.
Where I have it, it is not interfering with anything. And then also like the point of this primarily is to talk to the people that like I'm doing the thing with. So they're pretty close to me.
Right.
So I can talk to those people really easily. And this is a poor, comparatively to the whip, poor transmitter over distance. So people that I am not intending to talk to, hopefully will not receive my signal for them to listen in on. So, but there's the radio. It's submersible, waterproof.
And it has a waterproof connector. It has the Yeasu waterproof connector, which is like a threaded 3.5 jack.
So there's that. It's not focusing, but that little red blur is a gasket. It's got some threads right in there. So, but anyway, this is U94 style MSA push-to-talk, like from GWatt fame, with the big plug, whatever that is.
TP120.
Yeah. So mine are not Disco32. Mine are Radio Made Easy. So Evan's got a guy that makes them. And if you're an alumni, Evan is real nice to you. So go train with Evan and maybe you get a discount too.
And I have nothing against anything that everything I've ever gotten through Evan works. And so when I say, hey, it has to fit these requirements, it's not to say that his won't. It's just I haven't sunk years into being able to test whoever the guy is that Evan uses.
Yep.
However, I trust Evan, and so like this is me saying I have wholehearted support over whatever he's offering, but I have
You personally have already.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything I've ever done has gone through them and has worked just flawlessly. So, actually, as a business, one of the things that I really set as a goal was starting some sort of relationship with Disco32 over the years, because I've just had such good success with them. So I actually managed to do that this year.
Nice.
At SHOT Show. So,
congrats.
Yeah, like I don't know what they could. I'm a dealer for them, so like that was huge, because like then I can make it not worthwhile, because I don't make a huge profit margin on them, but at least make it so that I'm not like just doing it for free, like and just ordering for people or just sending people away over there. So it's like I can help kind of create some mutually like beneficial business stuff. But yeah, they're good people over there too. And but yeah, so like your radio setup is what mine was like last year or 2 years ago. And what are those?
Then I've got that feeding into some Commtac 3s.
Commtac 3s.
So Peltor Commtac 3s.
Yep.
And got them used on Facebook. Use goods and services.
Mm-hmm. Do you mind if I ask how much they were? Like what the cost was on a used set of Commtac 3s? Yes.
So they are dual comm, and they came with the helmet mounts. So I think I paid $450.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's cheaper, or it's more expensive than they were pre-Ukraine war.
Oh yeah.
Once Ukraine war happened, most of that used gear stuff kind of went away.
Oh, it always fluctuates. So I'm always curious what people pay on them, because like, because there's I will get into prices and like headsets and stuff, I'm sure, at some point too. But when I talk about my setup, but yeah, the Commtac 3s, Commtac 5s, Commtac 6s, 7s, I have to put some, like, I've never seen a pair in person, although I have a lead on seeing some this week, to see if I can figure out how to connect them to radios, because they have a weird like wireless connector type thing for Commtac 7s.
So yeah, no down lead.
They have like a backup down lead, but like the whole system is based around like a wireless push to talk. So like
is it Bluetooth? Is that
like a Bluetooth push to talk, which I'm not a fan of. Like I don't like things that require batteries that are mission essential. So like the least number of things that have like wireless connections, the better. So I'm not sold on the 7s, but the 8s are by all accounts and specs, because I haven't seen a set of those yet either. They're all really good. The Commtacs, the Ops cores. Haven't seen a set of autos in person.
I didn't even know 8s existed.
Yeah, so 8s are the kind of answer for the 5s. So 5s went off the market like a few years ago. They stopped producing them. And the 5s are essentially like, they were like the I'm not going to say budget model, because they're stupid expensive, but they were the base model. Like it's just a down lead, and it's ear pro. So when those came off the market, or then they started making the 6s, and the 6s have like, it's all that stuff plus the nib technology, I forget what it stands for, near intermittent broadcast or some shit like that, where it's like you can push, it's a Bluetooth like radio in it. Then the 7s are like a wireless ecosystem that you could put a wireless push to talk on your gun, and it's so over the top. Like
good idea, fairy shit.
Yeah. So when the 5s went off the market, they're like, hey, we still need to offer something that is like the base model. So 8s are cheaper than 6s and 7s. Okay. It's so confusing, but like 8s are kind of like what the 5s were, but at a higher price point, because now they're new. Yeah. So like skeletonized, like they shaved them down, they made them a little smaller and stuff. So
supposedly like the hearing quality gets better.
Oh sure. Yeah.
go. Now, like for me, I don't know if I like use it enough to even really notice.
You get your one set and you use the hell out of them. You don't need like people. Some people upgrade them like cars, and I'm like, I bought one set. It's the last set I'll ever need. Like, hopefully.
Well, so unfortunately with contacts, if you have a helmet, you basically need 2 sets.
So no, you do
No,
not. No, I got some pro tips for you on that one.
educate me, because I've been trying to rack my brain.
Okay, what pads are you running in your helmet?
Don't have a helmet.
Oh, okay. Well, then that. All right. So this is my pro tip. Has nothing to do with the fighting radio, but I guess it does have something to do with the
Sure.
fighting radio. So I have a Gentex helmet. I use 4D Hive pads.
Yep.
What they do is they basically you take out all the pads that are currently in a helmet. Like they have multiple levels of pads like that happen in there, and then the 4D pads attach straight into the like bucket area. Like there's the little like Velcro.
Yep.
We can get some ASMR.
Okay. There you go. The face you made was disturbing.
It was so good. So like these 4D pads attach right in there, and you can create a pattern with the 4D pads that allows for a gap where the headphone sits.
Okay.
So I put my head. Oh,
Psych.
I put my let me put this back in correctly. I put my headphones on underneath my helmet, and it fits just fine.
And that doesn't bother you at all?
It did before I switched to those pads.
Okay.
Because what they do is they take out the extra layer of pads that usually exists under the helmet and create a lot extra room while not sacrificing the padding.
Okay.
So I find those to be very like I don't I've been able to like I used to not be able to do that for longer than like 20 minutes. And then when I switched to the 4D pads, I could basically do that all day.
And you don't wish you could pop your ear pro off?
Do I wish I could pop my ear pro off? Sure. I mean, that's a thing. Like it would be nice to be able to do that. However, I do not want to dedicate a set of ear pro to my helmet.
Okay.
Because, I mean, well, now that I sell fucking headsets, maybe someday. So now I have boxes of headsets at my house, and I'm sure at some point I may have an extra set around, and I may want to try one for testing so that I can recommend it to people because I'm now a guy that tests and people look to for information on radio stuff. So more as a like service, like okay, let me try this out, the T&E type thing. But I've been able to successfully just wear it under the helmet with the right pad system. It has like I've not found anything else that works as well as the 4D pads, and they also make a helmet way more comfortable anyway.
Does it have to be that super high cut type of deal?
It doesn't have to be super high cut, but it does not work very well with like the like ACH or whatever the ones are that don't have a high cut.
Okay.
Like a high cut is like a minimum for like being able to fit any ear pro on your ears under a helmet.
Gotcha.
Although maybe some other helmets might allow for it, but they won't be able to. You can't run arc rail adapters on those anyway because they don't.
Yeah.
You have the helmet
But
in the way.
No, if I'm going underneath, there's no reason to have an arc rail, really.
Exactly. Like if they fit under the helmet, you might be able, and that's what they used to do. Like back in the day, they'd just wear their ear pro under their helmets. Like as long as you can get them to fit. Now, also a pro move, in my opinion, I'm a huge fan of the neckband versions of headsets. So I wish I had I brought the wrong one down here to kind of demonstrate this, but so this is a Savox Noise-COM 200. It's essentially the same thing as a Commtac 5. Like it's the same capabilities. I'd say it's actually a little lighter, and I think the audio quality is better. But This is a headband version. It goes like that. The band goes over top of the head. The neckband version goes behind the head, and that works all the time. You can use it without the helmet or with the helmet, and all that sits on top of your head is a very thin layer of mesh.
Yeah.
So that's a headset that you can even use with like a boonie cap or like any other type of headwear that you could just wear it underneath it. Like, so I'm a huge fan of those. If I could go back in time and do it all again, the headset that I bought in the beginning would have been a neckband version.
Gotcha.
So, but some people just like the headband, like that's more traditional. And now with knowing for sure that I can make things work with 4D pads, I actually don't necessarily steer people away from headbands because you can 100% make it work under a helmet. Like it's just, you just got to find the right pads to go in there.
Okay. I may get ACH and get a little crazy with a saw.
Ooh. Yeah, they're pretty cheap. I mean, you can find them for a relatively reasonable amount of money.
Yeah, I mean, something that I can put a shroud on and then not get shot in the head.
Yeah,
would be pretty cool. So
yeah, and it's, if you're gonna spend money on a helmet, it might as well be ballistic. Like, why spend money on a bump helmet?
So suppose, like, talking to some night fighters, like some dudes that have more training and experience, they've explained that bumps do actually have a role. Because I'm like, well, ballistic protects my head from bumps also.
Yeah.
But
there is a downside to it. I have a use case for a bump helmet.
Okay.
So I just got an e-bike.
Yeah.
So I intend to use that e-bike at night with nods. However, I find it to be dangerous.
Do you have a 22 with a silencer?
Yeah.
Do you want to commit war crimes?
Maybe. Yes. The answer is yes. But
joking, kids.
Yeah.
All jokes. Yeah.
So I intend to use it at night. However, I do not wish to use a super heavy helmet on my head in a fall.
Yes.
Like that's like it's a lot of extra weight from a ballistic helmet. So I did wind up picking up a bump helmet in a trade for a radio.
There we go.
Yeah. So that worked out well for me. But yeah, like the bump helmet is like there are use cases for it, but what most people do is they say, "Oh, well, I could use a helmet to mount night vision to, so I'm just not, but I don't want to spend $700. I'm going to spend $350." And in the long run, there are other things that are way more better suited for like mounting night vision that like aren't even a helmet. Like the soft cap from 4D. I know I sound like a bro. Like there are certain companies that are just really deserve being praised a lot. So 4D is one of them. They make a soft cap. Oh, it's right here. Hold on.
I mean, I'm a big fan of Double D, so 4 has got to be better. He couldn't hear me. He took his headphones off. R.I.P. You missed my terrible joke.
Oh, I did miss your terrible joke.
Yeah, I said I'm a big fan of Double D, so 4's even got to be twice as good.
It is. It's super soft, just like the Double Ds. So this is the soft cap, SOF cap from 4D Tactical. This one's in tiger stripe because it's awesome. But no, this is the most comfortable way, in my opinion, to wear night vision ever.
No kidding.
Yeah, it is super plush. It has the same padding on the inside. That's
why it costs as much as a helmet.
It does cost as much as a bump helmet. Like, so like some people out there are like, why would I spend money on that thing? Because it's like it's the same price as a high-end bump helmet, or not even a high-end bump helmet. It's the same price as a bump helmet. I'm like, because this is actually comfortable, and you can wear this under your ear pro.
Yeah.
Like, it's super comfortable. And you know what? At the end of the day, I don't have a helmet on my head keeping all the heat in.
Man, that hat and the red beard has got some IRA vibes going on.
Oh yeah, for sure. But like, there's so many different options out there that people just don't consider because they have preconceived notions, or
Yeah.
like, oh, I have to buy this thing because it's the name, it's the thing. Everyone else has this thing, so there's
I've got the Cry nightcap, which
Yep.
people argue is arguably the worst way to wear night vision.
I'm a fan of the nightcap, but not for like a primary use.
Yeah.
I like it for like, there's nothing that folds up as small as a nightcap. So like, if I need to ruck somewhere, if I need to move and I don't want to carry a helmet, or even this can be a little bit bulkier, although it cinches up pretty small, like a nightcap can fit in a cargo pocket very easily.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
It is a way to wear night vision, and it was free to me. So you can't beat it.
Say that again.
Oh, it's a way to wear night vision, and it was free. So,
yes. Yeah. It is by far the most economical thing that Cry makes. It's like $60. Yeah. Like, who would have ever thought?
If you buy a single knee pad, I think it might be cheaper. But
yeah.
Cool. So I think we covered fighting radio stuff.
Oh, well, I mean, the only thing we haven't done is go through what my fighting radio setup is, like what those requirements led me to. And it's
it's
pretty quick. Because it's very similar to yours. Really, the biggest difference being the radio itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a HD2, an Retevis Ailunce HD2. It is a Chinese radio, which is not optimal. Like, it is harder to program. There are downsides to things, but it fits all my requirements, and it's the only one I know of that does it. So I will live with it until I find a better one. I'm open. So like, that's the radio, and it does all the things, and it's lasted, and it works really well.
And you don't want to pay $6,000 for a Motorola that.
Fuck, if somebody wanted to give me one, I'll run it. But like, as long as it fits all the requirements, and still works with all of my buddies. Like, that's the thing. Like, I could spend $2,000 on a radio. I'm stupid enough to do that. I'm still I shouldn't, but it's something that would probably be within my character to do. I will never find any other friends that will do that.
Yeah.
So there's no point to it. Radios require another person to hear you.
Yep.
So that's connected to a Disco32 Push-To-Talk. This one is the Constant Able Push-To-Talk. It's their new Push-To-Talk. What's that?
That fancy stuff.
It's fancy because it allows for flexibility between dynamic and electret microphones, which is a whole nother rabbit hole with radio stuff. But basically, it means that it opens up a lot of different headsets that can hook into that thing. So if I want to go low profile, I can put in an electric microphone that just goes into my ear versus a headset. But I default to a headset most of the time anyway. But it adds some flexibility. And then all of that goes into this is not my personal pair. My personal headset is a dual Commtac 6. But I have run these a ton. These are the Savox Noise-COM 200s. They are what I recommend to people over any other tactical headset anymore, because it offers a price point that people can achieve that is basically like buying a used set of Peltors for brand new with a warranty. And it has all of the waterproofness, all the durability, all the features. To me, it's one of those things that as soon as I found out about it, I'm like, I'm just disappointed in Peltor because they keep their prices so high because of their name, because they can produce it for a lot less, like these guys can. So that's my fighting radio setup.
So the headset is specifically interesting to me. There's single com and dual com versions. I take it.
They can make dual com. They do not have them on the market yet.
You said yours is you have 6s. Sorry,
I have Commtacs because I'm a radio guy, and I run 2 radios, which I know from our conversation in HRC, like it even for the casual operator, that is a very useful thing.
In a leadership, if you anticipate possibly having a leadership role, having the ability to do that is smart, I think.
Yes. So one thing I do know for sure, because I'm a dealer for Savox now, and like they have the ability to custom make dual lead versions. So if there's somebody out there who's like, I need a dual lead version, but I don't want to spend the money on like a dual lead Peltor for like $1,100, they will, like, I can work with them to get one made, like custom in-house at Savox, like with warranty and stuff. I just don't carry them because they don't have I don't even know if they have a SKU for it, but it's one of those things I will be carrying. Like at some point that will be a production item and it will be like one of the things that we offer, but yeah, they're good to go.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. You said sound quality is as good as Commtac 5s, which is high praise.
Well, I would say, yeah. So the sound, the capability is everything a Commtac 5 can do, but I run Commtac 6s a bunch, which has a better level of audio quality than the 5s, but then it has a bunch of extra tech in it, like the nib stuff.
Yeah.
So I would say that the audio quality of the Savox is like the higher quality levels of like the 6s and maybe even better. But it's the capabilities and like technology, like it doesn't have a bunch of extra stuff in it that you don't need.
Sure.
So that's one of the reasons they can keep the price lower. So the audio quality is really good.
Interesting. And so you guys just finished up Wolverine Warfare.
We did, yeah.
Would it be fair to call that a immersive small unit type of class?
I think it would be very fair to say that, yes.
Okay, so 5 days intensive.
It was like 4 days, like three, yeah, three. It was 3 days in the field.
Okay, 3 days in the field, 4 days intensive, immersive. I'm assuming there were some people running those headsets in that class.
Nope.
Really?
No. So this is
hilarious.
I there were supposed to be. There were some shipping delays. Like import, like, you know how we're in this kind of like import tariff war thing going on. Well, let's just say there were some delays in getting the first shipment here. So I'm gonna blame that. I'm gonna blame the government.
You're gonna blame, I get it.
Yeah. No, but so the plan was, I was trying to get them in for Wolverine Warfare. There would have been at least 3 guys running them.
Okay.
But that did not happen. But we will be using them a lot over the summer, study groups.
Yeah.
Like awesome. All the train up stuff that we'll probably be doing over the next year. I mean, Tremis Dynamics has a ton of plans for like small unit tactics stuff over the next 12 months. So they're going to be used a bunch.
I like it. Cool.
But I before I started selling them, I used them a bunch too, just to like, I wouldn't sell them if I didn't trust them. So
yeah.
Like I'd put them through probably like 12 days of testing, like, you know, a few battery sets, like nothing that was like, you know, just normal wear and tear use. And then just running the radio a bunch, seeing if anything cut out, if there was anything weird, and it all worked. It worked great. So now I have some out in the field now. I got the shipment and then I got them out to dudes. So
excellent. So that's really cool that there's an option besides buying some old used Peltors that like may or may not work, and then you may or may not get scammed.
Yep.
I
mean, it's a huge reason, like to go with something that's brand new instead of some rando dude. Like I've had at least 3 people I know that bought Peltor units off of Facebook and they just didn't work, and then they had to shell out hundreds of dollars just to get them to work, to like redo the internals. Shit, my Peltors I just had to send back for warranty. Well, actually, it wasn't even warranty work. I had to pay out of pocket for it.
Really?
Because yeah, there was a connector to the microphone that just died. So I had to shell out a bunch of money.
I hate when you buy premium stuff, and I mean Gary's notorious for the Surefire hate.
Oh, yeah.
But I've set 3 Surefires in, like it's the worst. It's so bad.
Yeah, so, I mean, it would make like if they have a reputation of reliability, it would be nice if they like had an official warranty and then like broke their own rules and like, all right, hang on, we'll just take care of you. Like it's a cheap part. Like 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 we can eat the labor cost, but they don't because we're not government agencies. Like civilians get shafted because if that type of breakage came up in like a contract type thing where it's like, oh, that department has 200 people in it, I guarantee you they'd be like, oh, we'll just send you a new unit. They're not going through the hassle of repairs.
Yeah.
But even if it's after warranty.
So Surefire, well, this is off topic, but I wanted a light fixed. I had like the Gen 1 version of a light.
Yeah.
No, send me that light. And they didn't. They freaking sent me a new light. Like, it's not what I wanted.
Yeah. I want my original. I want my thing. I want the thing I bought.
Like, I had a Blade Tech. I still have it. A Blade Tech pouch for it, which like it's so hard to find. Like the open top, like Kydex type thing for flashlights.
Yeah.
And like I need it to fit this thing. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's ancient technology now.
Mm-hmm.
500 lumens is considered laughable, which is hilarious because 500 lumens was excellent. 500 lumens was so good, like in 2012. Like
500 lumens is still plenty, as you know, plenty enough.
You blow somebody's socks up with 500 lumens, and now I'm like, I got this TLR7 on this gun, and they're like, that's borderline unusable. I'm like, what are you talking about? The amount of light is the same as it was then.
Nope. No, it's got to be 1200 lumens.
Dude,
or they get into the, well, it's not even about the lumens, it's about the candela. You know, that's a real measure of
they're as bad as radio nerds.
Oh, they're worse. radio ham fuds are the worst.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Maybe this will make you hate me a little bit. I really wish radios weren't so boring.
I agree.
They're so important, and it feels like torture making myself care about it.
Oh, I know. Yeah. I'm right there with you because like I try to convince other people that they're not boring, but it's really it's an uphill climb, bro.
Oh, it's boring. It's like I don't know. I want to talk to somebody and like sit them down like almost like an intervention, right? Like, but not in a big group because that's intimidating. Just like like let's go. Let me take you to coffee, right? And we sit there and I'm like, listen, bro, we've been talking and we know your comms game is lacking. All right. I know it's boring. All right. Like, you don't have to know all this stuff. You don't have to care about it. Like, I can teach you how to push the buttons. Like, just give me an ounce of buy-in, and like we can get you to the survival level of proficiency.
Yeah.
Or I mean, maybe that's a little optimistic, but you get the point, right?
Yeah.
To get somebody talking on a radio that, you know, they can do it and they have gear that's not going to fall apart when it gets too humid.
Or when they try like tying it into their chest rig and all of a sudden it's like these tiny little wires that like are just squawking and squealing as soon as they hit like a push to talk button. It's like, or they're hot micing the entire time. And like,
yeah. So
you know, getting people to care about that is hard.
I've done a lot of that on my channel recently, and I kind of hate it because it's all just gear talk.
Yeah.
But I'm a little perfectionist, a little bit. And also, like, I come from a background where I wear kit 40 hours a week, right? Like,
Yep.
10 hours a day minimum. And like you pick up these like intangibles, where like that half-inch here or there makes a huge difference because of how everything interacts, how your body moves. And that's something that, like, somebody that sets up a plate carrier or a chest rig from a YouTube video and put it on twice, like, they just don't get that.
Yep.
Like, they don't even get why it's important, let alone, like, they don't even know what right feels like, right? So, good example, I guess, is the guy that goes to the store and I'm going to pick the gun because of how it feels in my hand.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, if you don't have training, you don't know what it's supposed to feel like in your hand.
Yeah, or the fact that how it feels is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like,
well, but like, okay, for example, I might go to the store and grip a gun and be like, this grip act, like the bore axis is crazy high on this gun.
Sure.
Right? So because I've trained and I understand how to grip a gun and I understand how the gun recoils, I know that by grabbing that gun, that is, and I'm not talking like, I'm talking an obvious example.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I know that, like, hey, maybe this is going to be suboptimal for recoil control versus something else.
Or
right?
at least in your own head, you can say, hey, I think this will be like X.
Yes. I have a
it's similar. Yeah,
yeah.
a frame of reference.
Yes. So, like, and with radio stuff specifically, like, they've never used radios, right? Like, the hot mic thing is not a paranoid idea in their head. They don't understand, like, where it needs to be on their body so that the cables and antennas can be, like, protected yet get where they need to be.
And you can still pull things out if you need to. That's another big one. Like,
yeah, like, be able to access it and yeah, just, and then also, like, just fit. Like, dudes don't know how gear is supposed to fit when it's loose. Like, that's how stuff gets banged around.
Yep. Or falls out or
Yeah,
gets chafed. Yep.
Yeah. But nobody cares. It's a boring thing to talk about.
Yeah, I made an article about a totally boring subject that people are like, great.
Oh, I was talking about the, like, how to set up gear.
No, I know, but it's all related. Like, because
yeah.
one of the things I got to in that article is like the justification aspect, because it's the same argument for the time, the cost, all of it. Like, and this is kind of, it's all in the same vein of like, how do you get people to care? Like, you can't. Only they can get themselves to care. And the theme was, the only way you're ever going to care is if you put the time in and you realize, like, sure, you can listen to whoever and you can buy whatever they tell you to buy. And that will, I'm you know, taking it from my own approach, it will save you a lot of anguish in the long run sometimes, of listening to the right people that'll help guide you in the right direction. And you say, hey, listen, I've already taken the hard road on this one. Like, just do this. It'll cost you more money, but just do this. There's something to be said for that. And there's also something to be said for the person who goes, yeah, but I think there might be a better way to do it. There might be a cheaper way to do it that gets the same result. So I'm going to try this thing out. Cool. That's awesome. Like, you have to use the stuff. And there's some intrepid people out there that want to put some time and find new solutions. Awesome. As long as it's meeting, and as long as you're giving it a true, honest, like, assessment of, is this meeting my needs? Or will it? Like,
will it? Will I be able to use this in the worst case scenario? Because as it turns out, like, I have a cell phone, so I can like use that to communicate most of the time. And that's also why the fighting radio idea is so important, I think, is on the day that the cell phone stops working, like whatever you have, like better be good. Like it better work, because otherwise we're back to Pony Express, like literally Pony Express, probably.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
you're not going to regret spending money on comms gear when it's the gear that you're using.
and it's also the idea of the cell phone going away is, I mean, we've been seeing cyber attacks.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
yeah, I mean,
pretty frequent. Like, oh, there was a solar flare that only affected one cell carrier. Sure. Like,
well, didn't Russia even like make claim to like shutting down the East Coast? Like it was a few years ago, right? Like they blamed Russian hackers for like that, some of the East Coast outages years ago. I don't know. I may be, but like it's not out of the realm of possibility. We're in a like, you know, a pretty well defined global trade war.
Yeah,
like that relies on electricity.
It's a matter of time until somebody takes down cell and internet simultaneously. Because right now, when your cell's out, okay, I can use Wi-Fi, right? And I can still figure out what's happening in the world, et cetera, et cetera. When those both go down simultaneously, I would imagine bad things are probably going to happen, because like those people now can't call for help.
Well, we just saw it in North Carolina and Kentucky, and like after Helene, is that the, I forget, I think that's the hurricane that rolled through there. Like
Tennessee and North Carolina primarily were the areas.
Like it devolves, right? Like people get cut off from all forms of support, communication, like infrastructure, supply.
Yeah.
And
I went out there, right?
What's that?
I told you I went out there.
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. With some radios.
Nice.
So I unfortunately managed to mess up my repeater face programming, but had somebody help me out, and so I had a radio with me. Didn't end up needing it, but
I'm sure you were in a lot of locations though that it was the only form of communication that you had out in case something happened.
I had a inReach.
Okay, that is also good.
Yeah, it's almost, I mean, it's basically the best.
Well, in the hierarchy of gear or comms contingency, satellite is like my number 2.
Yeah,
so like the cell phone, internet, they all count the same. So like that's obviously number 1. Number 2 is some form of backup satellite comms, either SpotX or I just recently got into like in a more like static location type thing.
Starlink.
I have a Starlink system that I can run off a battery.
Yeah, dog. That's awesome. Perfect.
At least for a limited time, like from any, like, you know, and it's a mobile setup, so I can just pop it out and, you know, set up a mobile station. So like, you know, if we needed to get in touch with people, we could.
Yeah.
And then that can be a listening post with an actual radio. So like, you know, the idea of using all different types of communications to link things together is important too. But you need backups. You need a pace plan for all the things that you do.
The cool thing about radios is I don't need infrastructure.
Yep.
As long as I can figure out some sort of way to power up these batteries, I can talk. So that's the downside to the SATCOM thing, is like I don't own a satellite.
No.
So I know that's shocking news, right?
Yeah, it's why the pace plan doesn't end with the satellites. Like
that's going to be the gossip on the internet, on the Facebook groups tomorrow. is Reed does not own a satellite. But
breaking news.
What an idiot. But my hope is that the satellite stays available long enough to put into motion the contingency plans.
Mm-hmm.
So long enough to be like, this has happened. I am doing X. I am going to Y location.
Yep.
And then, like, not that I have every answer figured out, but ideally, the person that I'm telling this to would know that, like, this is the route. These are some of like the check-in points. Like, we're gonna wait an hour. If we don't see anybody, we're gonna keep going. Things of that nature, right?
Right.
I have like an ACE report, right? Like, I have X amount of supplies. I have an injury. I have no injuries.
Yep.
So if the satellite is working for like even hours, as long as I can get out like the first critical couple messages, that's kind of where I'm hoping that fills. And then if it stays active, great.
Yeah.
Then I can choose to use it or not, because it's like arguably the least like discreet thing ever, because I'm like, it's a literal GPS. I'm like, here I am.
Yeah. It's literally made to pinpoint your location and tell space where it is.
Yes. Yeah. It's designed to tell the government to come get you.
Yes. It is literally its purpose. It has a button on the side that says, come get me.
Yeah. So, and hey, who knows? Depending on the emergency, like if it's a Wolverine scenario, maybe that's what I want, baby.
Yeah, like I'm gonna push this button, put this right here. Hey guys, let's go sit up over there and wait.
Like, get me the 82nd Airborne, please. Like, but yeah,
we're dropping Green Berets in the fall. Didn't you? Or
yeah.
was it the spring? I forget. Like the end of
spring
Red Dawn.
More sense meteorologically.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So
yeah, a solid plan is far more like that is. I mean, before you even start getting into gear and the skills to use it and all that, you have to have a plan in place. Like that's for sure. Like the most important thing.
But to bring it back to North Carolina, so that's something that it was a real challenge for dudes, because a lot of people wanted to go help, but nobody knew how, because the people that were there who knew how weren't able to talk to all the people in the world to tell how and where and what and when, and all the, the W's and the H. So it was, all the reports were extremely outdated. Like, man, what town was it that was like, people were talking about it like the apocalypse hit? Spruce Pine.
Yeah.
So, dude, people are like, Spruce Pine, it's like SHTF, dude. Like, it's crazy. So, bro, I had very limited time. I jumped in the car after work without an address. I was like,
the direction. Like, I'm going south.
We're just going to send it. And because I had a limited time my schedule. I was like, if I don't go now, I'm not going to go. So I'm going now. I say I didn't have an address. I had, because we were hearing about FEMA checkpoints.
Yeah.
And the whole state, the whole western area of the state is on a travel ban. Like, they can just arrest you for traveling.
Right.
And so they're like, don't come if you don't have a group, like blah, 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 blah. And then the FEMA checkpoints are like verifying, like, are you coming here? Like, so I'm like, bro, I got it. So I reached out on Instagram to some random group. I got a response that was like, yes, come out. And everything after that, just no response. So I was like, hey, are the roads passable? Like, can I get to you? Et cetera, et cetera. No response. So I was like, well, I'm going to send it. And if I get stopped, at least I have
a name.
At least I can say, hey, I am linking up with the group. And, but luckily I got hooked up with a different group, OAR, which is Operation Allies Rescue. It's a nonprofit that started after the witch off from Afghanistan, specifically to evacuate some people. So I got linked up with them on Instagram, and then they had a Google chat call or whatever, and so I've got it. My phone's like mounted to the dash, and they're like, "Oh, like where are you going?" I was like, "I don't know, to you." Like the other people won't talk to me, so if you're going to talk to me, I'll just cancel on them and come to you. And so they really hooked it up, man. It was great. Love those guys. Had a great experience, but yeah, that was really difficult. Like figuring out, okay, what do we need to bring? Like, are the roads passable? Where can we get? Like, are the FEMA checkpoints existed? The short answer is no, because FEMA would have to have been there in order to put in a checkpoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, all of that, yeah, it was wild. But, like, it just goes to show, like, being cut off. And, I mean, like, Elon's trying to deliver Starlinks, and they're, like, telling his helicopter that they can't land. Like,
right.
It was, the government will kill people.
Given every opportunity to do so.
Yeah. Out of literally, like, jealousy.
Yeah.
Like, you're making me look bad, and I don't want to allow you to do that. So we're gonna Pete Buttigieg is gonna disallow Elon from landing a helicopter full of Starlinks because he can't communicate with people on the ground who don't have Starlinks.
Right,
dude. Yeah.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
Your life in the hands of DMV employees, essentially.
Yeah,
so,
and which is why you need to have. I mean, it all comes back around to like the practicing the skill set and like the ability to break away from that infrastructure to form networks of good people, be able to talk to them, and have a plan for when all that other shit goes away.
Yep.
Because it's not a matter of if. You have to believe it's a matter of when. And then if it doesn't happen, awesome.
Yeah. Like, and that's with like, bro, a Yeasu or an InReach, they're $300.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the scheme of my life, how much is $300? Like, right now it might be difficult, but I mean, if you put $5 away a paycheck, like, you'll get there.
Yeah,
you'll get there. So,
or what else can you like? The thing that really gets me with like the comm stuff, like people like, and you said it before, it's boring, right? Like people don't look at it as a value add. And if you really truly look at what you are prioritizing in your life, like if you truly take a look at like, you know, and a lot of the dudes will probably identify with like the gun safe that's filled with a fucking, you know, 6 ARs. It's got 3 bolt rifles in it, 14 shotguns, because shotguns are like, you know, Pringles. You can't have just one. Like they just multiply out of nowhere. You got, and you know what the funny part is? Each one of those guys is going to have at least 12 pistols. Like, I don't know how, like, you know, I don't even try to get pistols, and I've got like a case full of them, and it's like I just need to get rid of some. So like what people are really saying when they say, "Oh, I can't afford it," what they're saying is, "I don't value it."
Yeah,
like I don't care. So you got to fix that. You got to find a way to. You have to make yourself care, because you know, or suffer the consequences in the long run of, well, you can't in the end say, well, I just couldn't get it together. Like I didn't have the time. You have the time now. Like right
So
now. Right
I'll
now is the
say,
day.
yes, today is the day. Like coming up with a plan before you need it is the time to come up with it. And
Yep.
I'll say this to the people who don't care is everybody talks about shoot, move, and communicate. I would argue that that's probably backwards in order of importance. So
You'll use communication a lot more in your life than you will the shooting.
yes, in life and including in some sort of a fight.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to need to communicate. And then moving is next.
Also probably more important than the shooting.
And then shooting is last. And if you don't believe me, like think about, and let's, we're preaching to the choir here for like people that have done this professionally. But for somebody that's not, like, picture what an average military career looks like. Like, how much are they talking to the people that they're working with and talking on radios to people they're working with that are far away from them, or phones or computers, right? All that's talking, communicating. And then how much are they moving? Like, whether that's like the 12-mile ruck march, or like we're going to take this airplane and go over here, or like get on this ship and drive around the ocean.
Yep.
Versus like pressing a trigger.
Right.
Like all of the amount of time pressing a trigger in a 20-year military career is probably like hours. Like maybe
A day.
maybe for some of the real guys, maybe it's a couple days.
Yeah.
Out of 20 years, but how much moving and communicating did they do here?
Well, the way I look at it is the communication will keep you from getting into shit in the first place.
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah, like good communication will save your ass because you won't be where your ass is in trouble.
I'm like, Mike, don't go to 7-Eleven. There's a guy there with a big knife.
Yep. Like that's some valuable communications.
Yeah.
The movement will get your ass out of trouble the moment it happens. Like, hey, I need to get out of here. Let's go. And then the last fallback is, all right, I need to shoot this fool because I didn't do the other two things very well.
And by the way, like, let's go ahead and say it's something righteous where like we want to go shoot this fool. It would be a lot more effective if I could like talk to all my buddies and we all go do that thing together.
Yep.
Yeah. Just a thought.
It'd be super cool.
Yep. Just a thought, like, yeah, maybe we don't want to do the Lone Ranger thing. So
yeah. Let's not do 12 guys doing 12 different things at the same time. Like a little bit of coordination might actually multiply our capabilities instead of just cluster fucking. Yeah.
Turns out 2-on-1's a pretty big advantage, and that's why they don't do it in the UFC.
Have you ever seen those? Have you ever seen those crazy like overseas like 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 fights?
I've seen some of that. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's insane. Like when it starts off as 3 versus 3, you're like, oh, this is interesting, and then it turns into 3-on-1 real quick, and you're like, this is terrifying. like 3 fighters in the ring versus 1, and you're like, oh, that dude's gonna die. Like he's just.
That's yeah. I don't get it.
I mean, it's entertaining,
I guess. Oh, it seems. I feel like you're doing too much. Like, just be UFC. I don't know. Anyway, all right. Closing thoughts. This horse to death.
Well, no, I mean, my closing thoughts are. And it's kind of a common theme. Go out and get the training, like do the things. Like I know it's a simple answer, but like the more you go out and use the stuff, the better you are at using it. The more knowledgeable people that you go out and find and gravitate towards and listen to, the better off you'll be in the long run. Like, I'm a big advocate for training. I'm a big, it's what brings it all together. Like, you can have cool stuff and you can know how to do cool things, but if you don't have somebody coaching you into how to apply them into the real world, it's for nothing. So just get out and do it.
I'll double down on that with the radio specifically. You watching this, go take a radio class and then take notes and then come back and teach all your buddies who will refuse to go take a radio. So,
it's your duty to do that.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, if you want to have a team to work with. I'm sorry, if you're listening to this, you've probably already invested more time than anybody in the history of the world has ever really given to listen to anything about radios. You are now the guy. Yeah. Like, this podcast is the test. You are now the nerd of your group.
It's you.
Exactly.
Cool, man. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. Good info. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Get some radios because we have to communicate. And then you should, after you do that, well, obviously get training, like Mike said. But after you do all that, go make friends that actually want to talk to you.
Yeah. And if you need help finding the friends or finding the people that teach, that's what Bulletin is here for.
There we
all
go.
The stuff. I hate hawking gear, but like, there's a reason we sell this particular stuff, is because nobody else is selling it in that package that is like, has put in time and testing into it. So, if you need any of that stuff, reach out. I'm here and happy to be a resource for any student out there that's looking for answers.
Yep. Go to Bulletin. They can link you up with some trainers. You can find some classes. Train with Mike at 0 Point. Train with me or don't. I don't care. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Just do stuff. But
do something. Just don't sit on the couch and eat the Cheetos.
But radios are boring, but being able to talk to your bros is important. So
All
right. Read with rapid response training. Don't be weird.